Hello, I am about to go to my friend's wedding, but I just wanted to pop on here really quick because while I was getting ready, I started listening to the audiobook for one of the books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog. I will do a better introduction soonish because right now I'm like rushing to leave. I will show you my outfit if you care, but I am doing a women's prize for fiction shortlist reading vlog. I've got 3 of them from the library. They were the 3 that I was interested in reading. I'm not going to read, I think one that I'm not interested in is The Bread the Devil Need. I'm not really interested in that. I've heard people talk about it and it just sounds like the type of book that I wouldn't really like, so I'm sort of thinking I'll skip that one. Maybe if it wins, I'll read it, but for now, I'm not that interested in that. But I am interested in reading The Island of Missing Trees by Elif. Can't remember the last name of the author, but I have all of these books out there, so I will show them to you later when I describe better what they're about. That's when I've started listening to, and I really like the way it's written so far. I think I've read or I've listened to the prologue part and then the first chapter. So I'm not very far into it at all, but basically it follows this girl who is in high school in London or in England, and her mother has died, and her father and her mother are both from Cyprus. One of them is Greek, one of them is Turkish. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But apparently Greeks and Turks in Cyprus don't always get along, or there's some sort of conflict there that I'm not very familiar with, but I'm assuming I'm going to learn more about it through reading this book. She gets this assignment in school, the main character, and she's supposed to find she's supposed to interview an elderly family member and talk about a family heirloom. And so I think it's going to be about her journey to figuring out what that is. I've also heard that part of this book is told from the perspective of a tree, so I'm very interested to see what that is about. The other books that I'm going to be reading for this, I talked about I mentioned in my TBR. It's currently still May, which is why I knew I was going to start this book earlier, which is why this is not on my TBR, but I'm also going to be reading Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason and The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. So that's my plans for this vlog. If you would like to keep watching, then keep watching. Okay. Excuse how dirty this mirror is, but we've got just a black sheath dress, my new Doc sandals that I got, and this little bag. And so that's the outfit. Hello, it's now Monday. I was out of town all weekend. I barely read anything, but I did manage to finish The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak, I think is how you pronounce her name. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering that, which I probably am, but I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I didn't give it 5 stars because it didn't give me a special feeling, which sounds weird because I do give books 5 stars when they don't give me that special feeling, but for something like this, sorry, I just whacked myself in the face with it, I want to feel something more significant than I feel what I felt for this, but I totally enjoyed this the whole time, and I might revisit my rating at the end of this video, depending on how the other books go, but I really, really, really liked it. We basically follow this girl, Ada, who grew up in London, but her dad is Greek and her mom is Turkish, and they are both from Cyprus, and so we follow Ada being a teenager, and she gets assigned this project at school to learn about her heritage, basically, the teacher wants them all to interview an older family member and to talk about a family heirloom type thing. Half of the chapters are actually told from the perspective of a fig tree that Ada's father brought back from Cyprus to London when he moved there. And that's really interesting and was kind of quirky, and I mean, I have heard people say that they didn't really get along with that. I kind of liked it. So it worked for me, but I know that it won't work for everybody. I know that this won't be a book for everybody, but again, I really, really enjoyed it. And then we also get Ada's parents' backstory from the 70s when they first met to when they reunited in the 2000s, and sort of how their relationship developed and how that went, which again, I really, really enjoyed. And we start the book with Ada's mother being dead and Ada's aunt, her mother's sister, coming to visit for the first time, and Ada's never met this woman. Her name's Miriam. And so it was really interesting. We also got things from Miriam's point of view, and just the cultural differences between people who left Cyprus versus people who stayed in Cyprus. I didn't know very much about the conflict in Cyprus until reading this book, and I still don't know a ton about it, but I feel like the book did a really good job of making you feel like you understood even if you didn't, and giving you a good context for it. So really enjoyed that book, highly recommend. The next book that I have started on audiobook, because I have to return the physical book today, is Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. This one is the one about the woman who's in her 40s and she is 40 and her husband has left her. And she's got this unnamed mental illness. And so the way this book starts is it like sort of goes back in time. We start present day with her husband having left her, but we don't know why he left her necessarily. And then we go back to her being a kid or a teenager, I guess, and being diagnosed with this thing, how people didn't know what it was at first. I'm barely into this one. I think I've listened to like 2 hours of it, and I think it's like a 12-hour audiobook. So I will have more updates as we go along. I just wanted to let you know that I've started this one. I am not as gripped by this as I was hoping to be. Something in the writing style doesn't totally work with me. The flow is odd. I will let you know how I feel about it because I do have high hopes for this. I picked out books that I thought I would like from the nominees, or from the shortlist. I picked out the 3 that I was most interested in reading, and I don't know. I'm sad that I'm not totally loving this one yet, but I will let you know how we feel. Honestly, it's feeling like a 2 right now. I do have high hopes that I will connect to the characters. The main character's name is Martha, and we're very much in her head. A lot of the things that she's talking about sounds like symptoms of depression, but I really appreciate that the author did not give it a name. She didn't want to misrepresent an actual mental illness, so she sort of made one up for the purpose of the book. And I'm curious to see how much it's going to evolve from being just basically like symptoms of depression to being something more or something else. So that is something that is holding my interest a little bit, but that's how I am with that one. And then I have not yet started the Book of Form and Emptiness. I brought it with me. I don't know if I've already said this. We went to Little Rock this weekend because my fiance got my engagement ring there and it was a size too big, so we went and got it resized. Just a quick plug, J. Oliver's in Little Rock. They made this ring custom, and it was cheaper than it would have been for him to get it from other places. So, or less expensive, I guess you're not supposed to say cheap. I don't know. But if you are in Arkansas or driving distance of Little Rock, highly recommend J. Oliver's. I will leave his contact information down below. It's Tim and John, and we love them. They also have like fox terriers that just sort of roam the store. They've got 2 right now, soon to be 3. Absolutely love it. It was fantastic. It was a great experience. So I can't imagine, I don't know, going to like they're not even like not traditional jewelers, but like their thing is that they make custom things. So if that's something, if you have something in particular that you want, they will make it for you. And they will not charge out the wazoo to make it, if that makes sense. So, absolutely love them. We were in Little Rock. I did bring the Book of Form and Emptiness with me physically because it's the only one I don't have an audiobook of. As we all know, I struggle to read things physically because I don't have a ton of time, but I can listen to audiobooks while I'm just doing things, getting ready in the morning, etc. So I'm hoping to finish that one. I want this vlog to go up on Sunday. So if you're seeing this on Sunday, or if it was posted on Sunday, shout out to me. But again, no promises because we all know that my life is crazy right now. So this update has officially become way too long, but I just wanted to let you know that that's where I'm at with those. Once I get to the halfway point or the 3/4 of the way point, I hopefully will update you again on Sorrow and Bliss. And if I have any change in my thoughts, I will update you. And then if I start the Book of Form and Emptiness, I will let you know that as well. But stay tuned. Hello, quick update. It's the next day. I just wanted to update you that I have made it to 50% of the way through Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason, and I'm liking it a lot more than I originally did. I am still curious. I think we're just now getting to the point where her mental illness starts becoming, like, it's always been the focal point of her life, or like a lot of her decisions and things that have happened to her or things that she has done have definitely been like either caused by it or it's like been involved. But she hasn't been diagnosed. I think the reason I'm thinking about it so much is because the very beginning of the audiobook talks about how in the physical book, it's delineated as just like a line, because it's not named, but the audiobook is going to call it X, and it hasn't been called that yet. So I'm still waiting to see what it's going to turn out being, or like when that's going to sort of happen. But again, I'm liking it a lot more than I was when I originally started it. I don't like it as much as I liked The Island of Missing Trees, but I am finding it a little more interesting, and I don't know. It's not exactly the coming of age as a middle-aged person as I thought it would be. It's more of, we start with Martha at 40 and then we go back and get her life story from when she was a kid, basically, just in like snippets here and there. And it's a lot about her relationship with her husband, who has just left her at the beginning of the book, and how that sort of develops, because he was like a family friend her whole childhood. So he was always there. And it's interesting. I don't know. I guess I'll give you a full update when I finally finish it, but I need to do some work for bar prep. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. Honestly, it's almost noon and I haven't started yet, which is not great. I've been trying to start around like 9 or 10 in the morning, and then ending at like 5, because that seems to be like a good amount of stuff. Sometimes I work on weekends too and stuff. It's not that big of a deal. But today I've sort of let the morning get away from me. It's a very gloomy day out, so I've been sort of lazy. So yeah, I will update you when I have an update. Good morning. I'm in the same spot as I was the other time I updated you, I'm pretty sure, but it's been a couple days. I did finish Sorrow and Bliss yesterday, and I am torn on what to give it. I think I'm going to end up giving it 3 stars, which is not a bad rating for me. I didn't dislike the book in any way. I just don't think it did some things that I would have preferred from a different book. One of the big things, I'm not going to say what it is because I feel like it might be a spoiler. I don't know. And I don't know if other people picked up on this the whole time, so it's not a spoiler at all. But regardless, I'm not going to tell you what it is. If you've read it, you know. But the main character has like a very staunch view on something. And then about 2/3 of the way through the book, she confides in the reader that she's actually felt the opposite the whole time, which I didn't like. Partially because it's a thing that, like, specifically when people say that they don't like this thing or they don't want this thing from their life, a lot of people will be like, oh, you'll change your mind someday, or like, everybody wants that. And I liked the fact that the character was like, no, I don't want that. And then when the whole viewpoint changed, the book went downhill for me. I mentioned at the beginning of the book, I had a hard time getting into this one, getting used to the writing style because it is kind of choppy. But I wound up getting into it and really like not minding that and understanding what the author was doing there. I just think the change in the circumstances for me didn't fully work. And also, this book is not as much about what the cover says it's going to be about. Because I'm pretty sure the cover is like, this woman is 40, her husband has just left her, she's having to like start over on her life. And that is not what the book is about. The book is about her life up to that point. Her struggle with her mental illness up to that point, and struggle with not being able to have it diagnosed as anything, her issues with her family, both her parents as well as her sister, her issues with her husband, and just like other relationships that she's had in her life. But it is like, it does start when she's 40 and her husband is leaving her, and then we go back and we live her life pretty much from her like teenage years through to that point. Which again isn't bad. It's just not what I feel like I signed up for. So that book, I think I'm going to give a 3-star rating to, unfortunately. I didn't dislike it again, but it is my least favorite of the 2 books that I finished so far. And I started Sorrow and Bliss. No, that's what I was just talking about. I started the book of Form and Emptiness. If I could remember what it was called, that would be great. And I'm really liking it. But I don't like it as much as I liked The Island of Missing Trees. And I feel like they're similar enough that it confuses me that they both made the shortlist. Because Island of Missing Trees is about this girl whose parents were immigrants. One of her parents has died. She is trying to like reunite with her like heritage almost, because she's from Cyprus, or her family is from Cyprus. Her dad, I think, is Greek and her mother was Turkish. And she's like trying to reconcile her life with the fact that there's this big conflict in Cyprus that none of her family will talk to her about. And then she gets like reached out to by someone in the past. But also half the chapters are told from the point of view of a fig tree that was taken from Cyprus by her parents when they moved to London, where she lives. And the Book of Form and Emptiness, most of the book actually is told from the perspective of a book. So we're following a little boy, Benny, whose father dies in the first part of the book, like at the very beginning. And in the aftermath of his father's death, I think at this point it's been like a year since his father has died, he has started hearing inanimate objects talking to him. And it's like really messing with his brain, as it would. And it's a lot about his relationship with his mother as a single mother now. His dad was Japanese, I think. And his mom, as far as I can tell, is white, the way she's described. And so I'm wondering if that is going to come into play more. It does seem like his mom is trying really hard to like give Benny some of the like Japanese heritage that his dad would have given if he'd stayed alive. Like she starts talking to him about Buddhism, because his dad wasn't a Buddhist, but he was raised Buddhist, so she thinks maybe that'll help. And she actually finds this book in a like craft store, which is basically Marie Kondo's book about tidying up. But in the book, it's the same concept of a book, but it was written by a monk in, I don't remember where. So, but she, like, even when she finds it, she's describing it as like reminding her of Kenji, her deceased husband. So I am enjoying it, but also I don't find the plot as compelling, I want to say. And also I don't know how I feel about Benny's interaction with all of the inanimate objects. I'm open to see where it goes because I'm not very far into it. I'm like maybe not even a third, I don't think. So I will update you as I have updates on that one. But that's where I'm at right now with this vlog, and I'm still, I think, looking good to post this on Sunday. So excuse my like crazy hair. I am so behind on my bar prep course that I have decided I can no longer spend an hour getting ready every morning. I have to do my course and then I can get ready in the afternoon because it's not like I leave my house anyways. But for my mental health, I do have to put on real clothes. So I am wearing a real outfit. But I just wanted to let you know that I know that I am going insane. I'm losing my mind. But I will update you when I have another update. Hello. It is now Sunday. Hopefully this video is going up today. But I did just finish. Ooh, you guys are kind of precariously sitting. So I did just finish The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, which is the last book that I'm reading for this vlog. As I mentioned, I only read the 3 shortlisted books that I'm like super interested in reading. I did not realize that this book is just under 600 pages. I might be being a little dramatic. It might be like 530 pages. No, it's like 550 pages. So I can read books that are that long. Obviously, I read like Brandon Sanderson books and fantasy books and stuff like that, but this one did kind of drag for me at times. The plot was not super easy for me to follow, so I wound up I don't know if I mentioned this. I did end up getting it as an audiobook, but I wound up having to like read with the audiobook and like go back and reread things that I listened to because for whatever reason, it was hard for me to focus on just the audiobook of this one. I don't think it's a bad audiobook. I just think there's a lot going on in this book, so it's not as easy of a narrative to just sort of follow. And also parts of it weren't as interesting to me. I don't know if I fully explained what this book is about, so I'm going to briefly do that here. It's about this boy, Benny, whose father dies when he's 12. He gets run over by a chicken truck behind their house, like in the alleyway. And his mother then, her name is Annabelle, and she's a white woman. And his father was Kenji, who's half Japanese, half Korean. And he was a musician. But Benny, after his dad dies, has started to hear voices. And so it's sort of following his mom. Annabelle is going through like a hoarding issue, and she works for the news. Her original job was like a news clipper, but then when they moved to like online, she like watches videos of the news. I don't know if she like fact checks it. I could not really figure out what her job was. But she works from home and she's always at home, like either clipping news articles or like fact checking the news, watching the news. And so it's just about their lives kind of. And then when Benny starts hearing voices, he is hospitalized for a time and he meets some people through his hospitalization. And one of the voices that he hears predominantly is the voice of a book, or he calls it his book. And it's basically like, if you've seen that movie Stranger Than Fiction, which personally I love that movie, but in that movie this guy starts hearing his life being narrated. It seems like it's kind of that thing, except for this is retrospective rather than happening as things are happening. Like we get interjections from future Benny talking to the book and being like, why didn't you tell me this was going on at the time? Like it doesn't do me any good to know now what my mom was going through a couple months ago. So you're like reading the book of his life up to this point and getting interjections from him at whatever future point he's at until you meet up with him at that point, if that makes sense. So I did enjoy this book. I thought it did a lot of really interesting things, and I also thought it was cool that Ruth Ozeki is a Zen Buddhist priest, which I did not know at all. But there's a lot of like Zen Buddhist. There's like a character in here who is basically Marie Kondo, but it's a Buddhist nun who writes this book about like tidying up. So I think Marie Kondo's book is like the life-changing magic of tidying up or something like that. There's a similar book in there that Annabelle finds, and it becomes like her hope and like saving grace. And so she starts writing letters to this author. The author of that book is like a Zen Buddhist nun, and then the woman who wrote it is a Zen Buddhist priest / nun. I don't really know the difference. But I thought that was just an interesting tidbit. So I did really enjoy this book. I would recommend it to you. I think it does take more time to read. It's not like a very quick read, and I don't know. It was longer, I think, than I wanted it to be. Like, I feel like it could have been trimmed, and I would have liked it more. I feel like the plot kind of went on, not tangents per se, but like, it went off in a lot of different directions, and for me, was kind of hard to follow at times. But ultimately, I think I am going to give this 4 stars. I liked this more than Sorrow and Bliss, but I liked it less than I liked The Island of Missing Trees. So at this point, my top pick for winner of the 3 that I read. So my top pick for winner is The Island of Missing Trees. I think we find out on the 16th who wins, so I'm really excited to find out. I might do a reaction or something. I haven't decided, but, you know, I hope one of the 3 I read wins so that I have, like, something to think about and I don't have to read one of the other ones. I mean, I guess I don't have to read it anyways, but anyways, that's it for this vlog. I feel like it's been kind of all over the place, but if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching to this point. If you made it to this point, leave a book stack emoji for the Book of Form and Emptiness in the comments down below. Again, let me know also if you've read any of these and how you felt about them, or if you've read either of the other 2 shortlisted books and if you think I should read them. I don't know. Let me know. If you'd like to, you can subscribe to my channel. I do post a couple videos. Well, I try to post at least a video every week, sometimes 2 videos every week. That should be the schedule I'm going back to, but we'll see. Life is crazy right now. But I'll see you in my next video regardless. Bye!